Okay.
Hi, everybody. This is Eve Hennessy of Bitcoin Kindergarten, and today I am interviewing Godriguez. He's an amazing NFT artist, and I'm going to get to know him and his art, and we'll start now. So I was just asking you, like, your name Godriguez. That's very interesting. How did you get that?
Yeah, well, it's Godriguez. It came about. So it's like a play on Rodriguez, which my name is Mark Rodriguez. So probably about 10, 12 years ago, I used to be on another social platform, media platform, G+. And at that time I was taking a lot of, just starting to get into doing self-portraits and stuff like that. And I made a comment one day because people were commenting about, because I do a lot of composite work and a lot of crazy stuff that, you know, doesn't look like it could be real, but it's real. And I jokingly said, you know, I'm not a god, but I play one in Photoshop. You may call me Godriguez, just as a joke. And it stuck. And pretty much from there on out, people started calling me Godriguez. And so I adapted it to my brand and my company, which is Godriguez Art, which is what I go by pretty much on all social media. So it's Godriguez Art, and it just kind of stuck, and it works with kind of my style, and even sort of my persona online is at times that of a devil character, and that's a whole nother story unto itself. So if you want to go into that, I can explain the whole devil character persona as well.
Interesting. So is that your website, godriguezart.com?
Yes, you can find me Godriguez.com, godriguezart.com. I bought multiple domain names that all are in the same realm, so they'll all direct you back to godriguez.com.
Topical blockchain domain?
I have a yes, I have a blockchain domain name as well. So as soon as I found out I could purchase a blockchain domain name, I was all over it. So yeah, I own that as well. Usually any social media that I get on, if it's new, whether I'm going to use it or not, I try and get in there and at least grab the name and make sure that I have it. You know, whether, like I said, whether I'm going to use it or not, just for branding purposes, it's just, you know, it's good business just to have it. And I'd rather, you know, sometimes make a small investment in something and have it and not need it than wish I had it later down the line if, you know, for some reason someone else gets it. Because even the website, just the regular domain, godriguez.com, when I first went to buy it, for it was probably about 6 or 7 years, someone else owned godriguez.com, and they had it on auto renewal. So every year I try and go and get it, and I had it parked that GoDaddy would check it every year for me, and it would come up for renewal. And so I was like, damn it. And then finally, I think it was either last year or the year before that, finally they didn't renew it. And so I finally was able to purchase that one too. So it's like, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I have Bitcoin Kindergarten, DeFi Kindergarten. And then I was like, just the other day, I'm like, oh, I need NFT Kindergarten.
There you go.
Let's just look at some of your art, and then we'll just keep talking from there, because I know like everybody's like so excited to see what it is you're creating.
All right, let me
yeah, just put like maybe one thing up
here, over here. I think this one. I'll just share the screen. So okay, so this is my my Showtime site, which I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
on my list of to-do things. Yeah, what is the how does the Showtime work? It's a showcase for NFT artists.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is all you do is you connect your wallets to it, your crypto wallets, and it automatically populates it with not only pieces that you've created, but also your collections. And at first it was only Ethereum wallets, and then recently you could connect a Teso wallet. So some of these that you're seeing here are on either Calumet, or they're on Pickanuck or Rarible, OpenSea Foundation. So it's a great way if you're trying to get somebody, you know, to see your work, your NFTs, you can just direct them to here, and they can take the path from there to the different sites. And, you know, it doesn't it doesn't specify it directly on the site here as far as, you know, where they're housed, the marketplaces. But the nice thing is they are all, this is, you know, all of my NFTs at a glance right now. So
like separate out which ones are the ones that you created and which ones are the ones that you purchased, or they all?
Up here you can filter by created or owned. I by far own more NFTs than I've created. I own almost 200 NFTs.
I like that.
And that's
monkeys.
That's the thing I love about NFTs is, you know, I know a lot of people are in them for the investment, but to me, you know, for resale value, but to me, you know, I've done Patreon for many years, and I love just giving back to other artists. In fact, I have I also create t-shirt designs and other type of artwork as well. And I have a PayPal account that I specifically use to only buy other artists' work with. So the money that my t-shirt sales and stuff like that goes into this PayPal account, and then I use that money to directly buy other artists' work or to fund Patreon accounts and stuff like that. So the thing I like about NFTs is, you know, I love collecting physical art from artists whenever possible. And I've got, you know, a ton of physical art, but I only have so much wall space that I can fit it. And this, with NFTs, it allows me to still support other artists and still have a piece of their art and still, you know, be able to help them out by buying, you know, artwork. So that's one of the things that I really, really, really do love about NFTs, you know. And you know, you get the comments, oh, you're just, you know, the stupid comments. Well, why couldn't you just save it to your computer? Well, that doesn't do the artist anything, you know, about right click and save. It's like, well, that doesn't help the artist out at all. So why would I do that? I'd rather, you know, if I can afford it on, you know, on one of the marketplaces, buy some of their art and support them. You know, why? That's my love of the community.
I love the NFT community. So I've been an artist for a very long time myself, and I really got out of it, and I got into crypto because, for one, I needed some money and some property and not to live like an artist like that anymore. And then so like I got really deep into crypto in the last 4 years, and then, you know, when this art and crypto like met and married, I'm so excited. And I love the community because I was never a fan of any kind of art snobbery or any of that thing. And in the NFT community, everybody's so awesome. Like, maybe you just made your first NFT, you know, people are gonna like, they're gonna buy it, you know, and they're so happy, you know, that you're there. And I totally like it too. And yeah, I don't have any roll space to buy people's art, and I love art too. I bought a couple of NFTs already. So let's pick one. And I was just so curious of your process. And one of the reasons that I'm even like starting interviewing NFT artists is because I'm an artist. I know crypto, just getting into the digital art, you know, the NFT. So I want to really pick people's brains to like, you know, what kind of techniques can we use? And your work is like super high quality. And, you know, you can just see technically it just looks really cool. So maybe if you just pick one piece, and then we can kind of break it down, talk about it, see how you made it, go through your process.
Let's see. I'll go with this one. This was actually my, let's see if I can view it on OpenSea so it'll come up a little bigger. So this piece here was actually my first NFT. So this was my genesis of sorts that I put up on OpenSea. And it actually, I know I always say the real world or the physical world, but this piece actually won me the Best in Show, the 2015 Photoshop Guru Award. So this is actually an award-winning photo that I did. And it's, again, kind of one of my signature pieces of sorts. And I do most of the, you know, work I do is concept driven or storytelling of sorts. And I try and even layer a lot of things in there that you might not notice at first. But sometimes after looking for a while, you might kind of see it or notice it. And usually right down to, you know, clothes and t-shirts even that I'm wearing might have something to do with, you know, the story as well. So this, one of the things that I've been a part of for, again, probably about 10 plus years, if not more. Again, it originated on Google Plus. I know I go back to that a lot, but I love, that was a great community. And I really was really upset, along with a lot of my friends, that it went away. I know a lot of people didn't understand it and didn't like it, but it helped me personally in a lot of different ways, not only just artistically, but personally, and just growing and stuff like that. So with it, one, I got into my self-portrait journey through Google Plus, but also I became a part of a community called the Photography Scavenger Hunt. And with it, you're given a list of words and you interpret them photographically. So, and I love, you know, I love telling stories. So being that all I'm given is a word, and then I have to try and tell a story with just that word, it's extremely exciting and satisfying for me to do, and very challenging at times. So the word for this one was actually, I think it was happy, or I can't remember if it was happy or happy face or smile. I can't remember exactly, but the title of this one is Put on a Happy Face. And so I kind of wanted to show that, you know, some people, you know, might be putting on the facade of happiness, but you never know what's really going on, you know, behind those eyes. You don't always know. Someone could be depressed. Someone could be having, you know, suicidal thoughts. Someone could be, you know, evil. You never know sometimes. So it was kind of a play on the happy, where, you know, I'm holding the happy face, but if you notice, the shirt I'm wearing is from an artist, Carolyn Curtis, and it's the see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, and my arm is actually covering the see no evil part. So that's the little bit of subliminal aspect to it as well. So, you know, like I said, sometimes even what I'm wearing has to do with the story as well. So, but this was a fun one to create. And a lot of times people ask me about, you know, about doing composite work, and you kind of have to know a little bit about physics of sorts, or at least understand it, to do composites successfully.
Like, can you give a definition for composite?
Well, taking multiple images and putting them together to make something that's believable, I guess you could say. So with this, I took, you know, multiple pictures of myself. The original picture was me holding, I'm actually holding a mask, a skull mask that I own, so that I have my hands in the right position, about how wide I would be if I was holding an actual mask. But I took that picture first, then took a picture of myself again. Like, I had a light stand next to me, so I figured out whereabouts I had my hands positioned, where I was holding the mask, and even the direction of the mask facing away from the lighting. So when I took a picture of my other face smiling, that it would match the same direction and placement height-wise as the original, so that all the lighting matched up. Because that's the biggest part of doing compositing, is making sure that all your lighting is as similar as possible on all the subjects you're doing, but also your camera angle is critical as well, because when you go to do shadows, or you place, say I'm taking myself as a full body shot and putting myself into another scene. Well, if you're using like a wide angle lens, and you take a picture of yourself, and then you put yourself into a scene that was shot with maybe a zoom lens or a tighter lens, it's going to have a different proportion, a different horizon line, actually, is what it really boils down to. So the two don't mesh. And a lot of times when you look at something and it just doesn't look right, even if you don't know what it is, that's generally what it is that doesn't look right in a composite. Like, that's usually where a composite goes bad, is getting improper angles and improper lighting, and then shadows don't match, and it looks like the subject is floating off the ground, or it looks like their feet are like they're on their tiptoes because they were shot with too wide of an angle compared to the ground. So let me see if I've got.
So how did you have your hands? Was your hands in the original, the smiling face?
The hands were on a mask that I was holding originally.
Got rid of them. Okay, I missed that part. All right.
Yeah. In fact, I think, let me see if let me see, I'll pull it over here for a second. Bring up something else while I'm looking for it, because I did make an actual a post actually showing the different pieces. So, and this is another one of my pieces. This one's on foundation currently, and this is another composite. So again, most of my work is self-portraiture, and this is another composite. So took a picture of myself with the, you know, the cow suit, and then took a picture of myself as Ronald McDonald, and put myself, actually the background I actually shot at Universal Studios here in, well, I'm in Tampa, but in Orlando. And that's Diagon Alley in Universal Studios. So it's sort of a dark alleyway. So
where did you get the costumes?
Just Amazon.
Buy it.
Yeah. So I get most of my props either from Amazon or Goodwill. Those are like my two places. Or around Halloween time, I, you know, hit up Spirit Halloween. It's like my, you know, going to Kid in the Candy Store when they've got all the different things to buy. I love it because that's a great time to get a lot of new props for all kinds of different props. And so I really love Spirit Halloween as well.
That's amazing. I love that red wig, and I like the so you painted your face and your hands in white in the Ronald McDonald one?
The hands were gloves, just white gloves, but my face, I actually for this one, I did actually paint my face. Now a lot of the makeup work I do in my photos are actually done in Photoshop. They're not actually, I might do a white face just to kind of get a base, but the actual makeup I do in Photoshop. So yeah, I did find that link. So this is what it looked like.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So that is where me just holding the actual skull mask, and then that's me smiling in the same position of where, you know, whereabouts the mask was. It might have been a little bit higher than it, but at least, you know, I kind of had the angle of away from the camera when I put the two together. So, and of course the final shot. So yeah, that's what I mean by compositing. So, and why it's critical to have the angle as close as possible to what the original was, or what the first shot was, because that's what'll usually make or break a composite.
So this platform foundation, like how do you choose which platform to upload your NFTs onto?
I'm sort of going back and forth with how I choose which one to put where. For foundation, most of them's been, I want to say, kind of my more known pieces, or pieces that I've gotten the most recognition from before I even got into NFTs. So I've kind of, I don't want to say they're my exclusive pieces, but they are pieces that I've kind of done well in the traditional art world with in the past. So it's kind of my highlight reel, my best of, I guess you could say. Foundation is a little more of a higher end platform per se.
Did you have to get curated into it, or
you have to be invited by another artist, and that artist has to have sold a piece or sold some pieces on the platform before they can give out an invite to someone else. So you do have to be invited in. You know, there are some other ones like that, Known Origin and Super Rare, which I've applied to both. They just reopened applications to Known Origin this past week, and for applications in. So those are a little more difficult to get in, because it's not just another artist. You have to go through their board. So they are, again, a little more exclusive, but they are a little more curated. But that can be good or bad. It could possibly screen out artists that are good, just don't go through the process properly.
Or
And
it depends on sometimes the mood of the curators on that day and
right, or what they like or don't like. So just like any museum show, it's the same thing. The curators have their own bias. So I'm kind of on the fence. Like, it would be great to get into those platforms. I mean, I'd love to, but at the same time, I'm kind of against gatekeepers of sorts, and keeping people out of different formats. But that being said, I still wouldn't mind possibly having the opportunity to put my stuff on there.
Yeah, it's super rare. I don't know if you don't get royalties on that one. Or do you? Do you know?
I think you do, but they may be a little higher. I know Foundation, I think, is a little higher than some of the other ones, and there's some other things I think involved with their contracts and stuff. I haven't quite delved into them, but then again, I haven't sold anything. I haven't sold anything in any of my ETH markets yet. Tezos, yes, I've sold on Calumet and on Hickenunk quite a bit, but I haven't actually sold anything yet through any of the ETH markets that I'm on. I'm on OpenSea, Foundation, and Rarible right now. And like the only piece I have on OpenSea is the first one there that I showed you, because that was coming in. I didn't know anything. Everybody said, if you're starting out, just put something on OpenSea. It's one of the least expensive. Once you mint something once, you don't have to pay fees again to mint it. And so it just made sense to put it on there. I mean, I've gotten a lot of likes and stuff on the piece, but no bids or anything like that. But the thing with the NFTs, and that for me, it's been more about the community. And I know I harken back to G+, but it has that same feel as the early days I had there. The people that I met in this community have just been outstanding. I mean, so supportive and so helpful. And so it's just the people, if anything, sales would be great, but this isn't I know a lot of our other artists, they are putting a lot of, their eggs in this basket as far as as a career, but this isn't my main, focus with my art. And it would be nice to get sales, but I'm been more appreciative of the people that I've met through this community than anything. I feel I've already, made my millions just in the friendships I've made with the people, on this site. So, or in the NFT community. So I've been extremely grateful just, for the people that I've, met through it and how helpful they've been. So
yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like so amazing. So I remember like when I was an artist and when I was in grad school, I went to grad school in Mexico City. Everybody's so friendly, everybody's so cool, everybody's telling you everybody else about these shows and that shows. And now I live in Washington, D.C. some years later, and it's like the camaraderie is not, because there's such a tight competition or whatever, just the nature of the art world somehow, lost a lot of that camaraderie. And
yeah,
I love that. That's why I love NFTs too, mostly for that reason. Also, for so many different reasons. Oh, that's beautiful.
This sometimes my photos are a family affair. That's my wife being burned at the stake and my daughters clutching my legs. It's not often that you can, text your wife, I want to burn you at the stake, and she gets excited about it. So, when I explained what I was going to do photographically. So this was actually shot at, again, as far as compositing, all the people in the background, the sort of faded figures in the background are also myself and my daughters as well. So those are all the kind of figures in the background are all us. So, took multiple pictures in different positions to create the crowd as well. I really did, the fire was real, but not while my wife was on it. So I really did put a pole in my backyard and lit it on fire. And I've got the best neighbors because, they understand what I'm doing and don't call the police. There was one time I built about a 16-foot cross and hung myself on it to do a photo. I actually one time constructed an actual a hangman's noose, about a 12, 15 foot high hangman's noose for a photo that I did. And there was some, my neighbor 2 doors down at the time were sheriffs, and she was like, if I didn't know you any better, I would have been down there serving a search warrant because of what I saw from down the yards from you. So
well, you live in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Tampa's a wild place. Did you hear about that one guy who's from this death metal band, Morbid Angel? And I think he had like fire throwers or something. I saw it on the news.
Well, actually, I
used to house up, so I'm like, oh, maybe your neighbor's with him. So all the neighbors are like, no, what's going on?
Well, funny you say Morbid Angel. I used to be in a band with the original drummer for Morbid Angel. So
I think that data.
Small world.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be in metal bands back in the day. So
yeah, there was one of those guys. I think it was from Morbid Angel. Might have. Okay.
Then I like having.
Now I have a question. Do you have any moving images?
I have a couple here. Let me. So, I mean, this one is actually something I did quite a long time ago, but I always liked it. Doesn't actually blow up too big, but so this I just did in After Effects. I'm actually my day-to-day sort of, so to speak, 9 to 5 is that of an animator. I work with a nonprofit called YU, and we create math animations that we distribute on YouTube and through our website for free. And
what's the name of the YouTube? Do you know? Because I love math.
It's actually my YU, like Y question, like WH. So it's MYWHYU on YouTube, and we've been my client and I were more or less partners. I mean, he and I have been doing this for almost 18 years now.
Wow.
And he is a philanthropist in Orlando, and he's very passionate about math and science and stuff like that. So he writes the scripts because I actually suck at math, but and then he gives me the script, and I'm actually the voice of the main character as well. So I do the voiceover for Professor von Schmohawk and then animate the scripts to it. And we were used in curriculums all around the world. And like I said, we distribute it freely. There's no royalties from it. There's no, it's free for everyone to enjoy and use. So
I'm gonna do it. I actually learned math. Like I'm, in the arts, so I was never big on math. But about 2 years ago, or 3, I got this Dragon Box. It's an app for kids. It's like this cool, game for learning algebra. And that got me totally into math. So like maybe I was looking for more math, but when it gets traditional, I get bored.
We like to we use more or less kind of traditional. It's traditional learning, but in a new way. And from the comments we get on all of our videos that we're doing something right, because we've had people say, I've been trying to learn this from my college professor for 3 years now, and I learned in a 3-minute video what he couldn't teach me in 3 years. So
that's how the Dragon Box was for me. I was like, oh, I totally get it now. This is great, because that's the way my mind just works visually and spatially like that.
So here's one of my pieces, moving pieces. So added a little bit of a heat element with some little embers flying up. Did all that in After Effects. Most of my animation I do for what I do on the day-to-day basis is done in Flash, or now it's Adobe Animate. But I do like to play around in After Effects. So this one was also animated in After Effects. This one I have on Calumet on the Tezo network blockchain. So, but yeah, so this one was a recent piece for an actual gallery show that I did here in Tampa. That's the other thing I've been doing, is now that I'm been in some recent gallery shows, I'm making sure that I do a NFT companion to any of the pieces that I do for the gallery shows. So
that's great. And you just, oh, that's good. That's really amazing. Yeah.
So I put, on, when I have it at the gallery itself, I'll have the physical piece there, and then I create a little, can't think, but the little, not RFID, but the little, code for people to scan their phones, and it'll take them right to the piece online, so they could even purchase the NFT while they're standing in front of the physical piece.
And then you get to keep that.
Yep.
All yourself. That's amazing. Hey,
So,
so I have a question. This is one of my big questions of my own self that I have right now. So, like, I put some pieces. I have made some digital pieces, which I'm really into, and but I want to animate them. But I'm sending them to some big shows, like the one in China, Sabet, and other, gallery NFT shows. So they're going to have it. They would have them on these huge screens, and I'm just like, my question is, what is the highest quality way to get like good resolution, for moving NFTs that would, I don't know. I just know, like, you can get a bunch of apps on your phone that makes amazing stuff.
Right.
How am I going to do
I don't.
Real world.
I don't know what a phone app, as far as resolution, what it would output. All the ones that I've got that I've animated from, they're all animated from original photos that I've created. So they're like 4,000 by 5,000. The pixel dimensions are really big to start off with, and I just go ahead and leave them at that. I don't drop them down for sake of space, because I don't have to worry about saving them out anywhere to a site or anything. So I usually leave them full res. As far as that goes, like I said, they're all based off of photos that I've created before with my DSLR. So they're full on images that I start with, and they're pretty big. That way, I don't know what's the minimum you could go with. I don't know enough about it to kind of preach to that.
Yeah.
I know my pieces personally, I keep them big. Even my just image photo, files, I keep everything as high as resolution as possible. And so I always err on the side of, the bigger the better, because you don't know how big it's going to be blown up. So that's kind of how I would go with it. There might be someone who knows more about it out there. Definitely, it's not me.
No, but yeah, I mean, you definitely know about the high res photos. So that's what I was thinking. I wonder if a lot of new creators, they make these cool, amazing looking stuff that looks great on the looks great on the internet, but then
right,
you have to put it on a big screen. It's gonna be different. How big could one of your photos get? Like,
they could. I mean, most of my photos could be blown up pretty damn big, because
side of a building.
Yeah, I mean, because they are, like I said, they're native resolution, which is 240 to 300 from the camera, and they're all I think, can't remember what my camera as far as megapixels are. And I shoot in RAW, so all the information's there. So like I said, the final output images are anywhere from like 4,000 to 5,000, max width, pixel width. So there's a lot of information in there that can be blown up. So.
Wow, this is an amazing photo, the one you have up here.
This was kind of what I was going back. I started to kind of allude to in the beginning. This was the picture that did kind of two things for me. It solidified me as being a self-portrait artist, but it also kind of galvanized this whole devil persona, and it became my branding and my logo and everything. So the backstory of this photo, I'd been starting to do self-portraiture and doing it a little bit, and was starting to like it. And I was a member of a group called Selfie Sunday that was on, again, I don't go back to G+, but it was on G+. And it was around Halloween time, so I was going to do this sort of swanky devil with a martini glass and kind of campy. I had it all planned out, and I was going to shoot it. And the day before, or actually the week leading up to that, doing that shot, my mother had a stroke and was in the hospital. And they got her stabilized and everything was looking good. And then that Saturday before I was to do the selfie Sunday, she took a turn for the worse and passed away that Saturday morning. And both my parents were just huge supporters of me and my art all through my life. They were always so supportive, and they were two people that just never gave up and always could find a silver lining in even the worst situations, always used humor to get through hard times, and always just persevered, and just were two of the most loving and strongest people I ever knew in my life. So I decided to go ahead and go through with taking a picture, but instead of how I originally planned of it being this swanky devil and kind of that way, I decided to still be the devil, but again with the storytelling, I kind of layered the picture with all kinds of symbolism. So I sat out in my garage, and it was moments of just losing it, crying, and then pulling it together and then doing it. So the symbolism in the picture is, one, the red jacket I'm wearing was my father's. The red tie was my father's. I'm sitting in a chair that was in my house growing up all my life. And then the picture that I'm holding was a photo that my mother gave me after my father passed away. It was a photo she gave to all my brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of 7. So she gave it to a same photo to all of my brothers and sisters. So I sat out there and, just like I said, worked through it, and it was extremely cathartic, and it helped me really get through that time. And what I kind of got out of the picture, or the story in the picture, is the devil is upset because those are two souls that he will never have, because they were such great people. So, and with that, it kind of, why I still kept the devil persona is because this moment in time just solidified me realizing how much self-portraiture could be such a healing thing and so helpful, that I carried it into sort of myself, my branding, just my sort of personification. So a lot of people think I'm just the devil because I'm the devil, but it really actually boils down to this actual moment in time where I took this photo, and I wanted to, it's actually to pay tribute to my parents that I dress that way, and as my logo, and why I kind of carried it on into everything that I do. So it is a personification of my parents, actually. So
photo is really amazing. It's I mean, like, just visually, like the rug in the background, the lighting, the shoes,
yeah, it was
red, the kind of vintagey red. So that's so amazing to know that was your dad's.
Yep.
Kind of vintagey, but when I first saw it, without hearing the story, is an amazing story about two souls the devil won't get. But you also felt like, oh, it's the devil, and he's, I felt like it was his parents that he was crying over, so it was like, oh, the devil with a heart. Like, it was very kind of moving, I mean, either way, it's completely moving. It's really beautiful.
And actually, this was part of a series that I just did for a recent show called The Invented Self, which was about creating, that was at a local gallery here. In the show itself was about these other realities, or other sort of personifications that people put out about themselves. So it was a perfect theme to kind of have this and two of my other pieces that I created for it. And actually this piece sold, the physical piece sold, and it went to somebody who really identified with it and really understood the meaning behind it and the pain behind it, because it was someone who actually had lost someone. I lost multiple people close to them. And so I was very, very grateful that it went to somebody who understood it and really appreciated it for what it was. And she was, told me this will remain in my family forever. Even when I'm gone, I will gift this on to others. And it really meant a lot that it went to somebody who understood it and cared about it that much. So I was very, very thankful for that. And some of the other pieces that went with it, this one, which also this one also sold. There's the zoom. This one also sold at the show, and it again
oh, there it is.
Yeah, the caption for this one, was Master of Puppets, and kind of again going back to people think that I'm the devil, but actually I'm the one controlling the devil. And if I did make a deal with the devil, I'm the one getting the better end of the deal, because I'm controlling him to get through, in ways in my life. So, so again, I kind of carried over the devil theme in this one. And then also in this one here with Let's Make a Deal. It's called Let's Make a Deal. Let me open this one up big. And come on, let's try. So with this one, I kind of proposed the question. People think that I did make a deal with the devil for some of the artwork I create and how I create it and stuff, and the fact that I go by the name Godriguez. So like I said, it all kind of ties together in a lot of different ways. The name of my company, my nickname, the image of the devil. So it really does kind of encompass a lot, and it is kind of me in a lot of different ways. So, but with this one, whoever either buys the physical piece or the NFT will actually receive a personalized signed contract with the devil for their soul.
What does it say?
No one's taken me up on it yet, but
what is the highlight of the contract?
I mean, it's just a typical, I don't think it'll zoom in anymore. It's your typical, you're relinquishing your soul upon leaving this earth to the devil. And, it doesn't have any real specifics, but it was something I found online that was written up, and I altered it a little bit. I wanted to just buy it outright, and it said actually that it was available on Etsy, and I was going to buy them because, again, I would rather buy it from the artists and support them, but it said it wasn't no longer available. The shop wasn't even there anymore. So I was like, well, damn it. So I just I pieced together what I could from the pictures I saw and altered it a little bit, because I was like, yeah, I'll buy a couple and from you, but wasn't available. But yeah, so.
I have a question. So with the devil, because I want to get back to the death metal in the Tampa, because I have a very close friend who's a death metal musician, and
okay.
his email was like devil music 666, and I actually have had a lot of met a lot of people, all that, and it was very interesting to me, because at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is so dark, and then but it really wasn't. It was actually kind of like the more kind of heart-centered community and people that I had hung out with. So I just was wondering what influence or connection that has to do with your devil pieces.
I mean, I was in the scene back then, and hung out with a lot of the death metal guys. I've always been attracted to darker stuff, kind of gothic and dark, and I grew up listening to metal, so of course Iron Maiden and Slayer and shit like that definitely influenced some of the darker things that I'm into. But the thing is, people meet me, they're like, I wouldn't have expected that. When they see my images and stuff online, they think that everything's going to be like that when they meet me, and I'm actually kind of a quiet, shy person in real life, and I'm not this larger than life that it looks like in my photos and some of the stuff that you see. But that's kind of what I like about self-portraiture is it allows me to kind of explore different things that aren't really me, but I can kind of safely do or do it in a way that is kind of artistically or creatively viable. But yeah, I mean actually technically I live in Brandon, which is just outside of Tampa, which was considered the death metal capital of the world at one time. I mean, there were so many bands that came out of here at the time that this was the epicenter for death metal, and actually where some people say it actually was invented was Brandon, Florida. So I used to come out here back in the day when there wasn't anything out here really but orange groves and cow pastures, and you would go to parties and they would set up like a flatbed semi, and the bands would set up on there, and you'd be out there where they'd have generators for the bands to play, and there'd be kegs and stuff, and you'd go watch bands out in the cow fields or out in the orange groves until the cops showed up, and then everybody split. And so yeah, but now it's all subdivisions and stuff out here, so a lot of that isn't even around anymore, what was originally here. So yeah, but yeah, so
Antar.
What's that?
Antar. I actually know some people that live there that were friends of my friends, but who I also knew.
But like friends with some of the guys like Cannibal Corpse and used to Death and some of those bands. So yeah, there was a lot of good bands that came out of it back in the day for sure. Absolutely.
So I like your pieces. I really like them a lot. I just saw like a little blip of your thing on Twitter, and I was like, okay, this guy has a lot of technical knowledge. I want to see what he's doing. But like, I really love your pieces, the emotional and the performance art quality, because I actually do performance art, and I'm so excited about NFTs because I'm like, with NFTs, you can make some money on your performance art, But I like your pieces because they're like performance art, but just a moment in time. That there's sort of a whole performance behind it. There's a whole theater that's set up around your pieces. And
I'm really big about that, because that's kind of actually that you say that, because I do approach my pieces as a performance almost. I mean, the time I spend sometimes building props and stuff like that. I mean, it's all building up to just this one moment, and then it's done. So it is kind of a sort of crescendos when I take the picture and edit it, and then I move on to the next one. But the part I love the most, is the storytelling aspect, and that's what I try and do the most, is being able to tell stories that aren't always obvious sometimes, but then, like I said, the more you look at it and the deeper you go, the more you see. And like, picture like this, which is actually a statement on depression and suicide, but I try and go about it in a way that won't scare somebody away immediately, and yet they might be repulsed by it in a way, but it's not enough that they can't stop looking at it or will just turn away from it. So I coined the phrase approachable darkness. That's in my work. So I never use blood or gore or anything like that for just the sake of it. It's always there for a reason, and usually it's part of the story. So usually if there is something that may be off-putting, it's only there for a reason, and I want to make sure that it's not the key element that would make somebody look away from it. So like this, so instead of using a real gun, I'm using a toy gun. Instead of real blood, the paint splatters on the wall. So it's enough that somebody's not going to just be offended immediately when they see it, because it's not graphic in that regards, but it's enough for them to stop and at least take a moment to kind of take in what's happening. So you have a clown, which generally people think of, I mean, some people are terrified of clowns, but most people think of a clown as someone who tries to make you laugh, and something that's someone who's funny all the time, or always trying to make you laugh. Yet you, again, never know, they could be sad on the inside. And the fact that, the clown is to a point that he's taking his own life, that is sort of a statement on people who are depressed sometimes. And you look at people like Robin Williams and some of the, some of these other great, people in the public eye who have committed suicide, and you just wonder how could that have happened? How could they have gotten to that point? Someone like Anthony Bourdain. I mean, these people who were so full of life and so approachable, and so just seemed like their personalities were bigger than life, and just always wanted to make people laugh and enjoyed life. How could they have gotten to that point? And that's kind of what this picture like this is trying to say, is you got to sometimes look past the surface and make sure you're there for people, because you just never know. I mean, I have personal experience with loved ones who have struggled with depression, and so it's not something you can always see, and unless you're having an open dialogue with them about it, you don't know how you can help them. So it's something that I'm very strong, feels very strongly about, to have open dialogue about it, because it shouldn't be something that's just swept under the carpet, or just ignored, or that person's weak, or things like that. It is something, to me, that should be addressed more. And I think if it becomes less of a stigma and people identify it more early, then those people can find coping skills to get through it, not always just, immediately go to, medicating them, but to actually just through open dialogue, and just, like I said, just being there sometimes for somebody, even just for a moment, could possibly change their lives. So yeah, some of my topics are in those, go down those lines. But like I said, I try and do it in a way that is approachable, so that the deeper message can get through without someone just being immediately pushed away and repulsed from the image.
Yeah, that's so powerful, and it's amazing. That's an incredible image. And what you were saying, I have a very close friend who has a lot of depression, but for years and years and years, but you would never know it. Thank God she tells me, like, oh, I'm depressed, but you wouldn't be able to tell. She's always giggling. She's so pretty. She's really capable. She's so smart. Like, her life, like, looking from the outside in, it would be like, we would all want to be, Sandra, but it's even hard to, like, imagine, because when she's talking, she's giggling, but it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, no, I totally understand it. And even, just, you hit it right on the head. I mean, someone just because they're pretty, and that doesn't mean they can't be depressed. Like, that's the thing that so many people don't get. They're like, you're so pretty, how can you be depressed? Like, I've heard that told to people before, and like, what does that have to do with inside? Just because you're pretty doesn't mean you're automatically happy all the time. That doesn't work that way.
Or rich or anything.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah. It's one of my big things I think a lot about lately. Is, I think, like, the next thing that's going to happen in the sorry, it's quite an artwork, but just people comparing their outsides with other people's insides. Like, to me, that's one of the biggest messages that needs to come out now, like, just in the world, because people are pointing their fingers at each other, like, all day long. And it's like, you really, really do not have a clue, what somebody's been through. Even if they're laughing, maybe they seem shallow, like your original piece, maybe they look like they don't even care about anything, but that doesn't mean anything. So,
no, I agree.
This is amazing.
this one's a bit of social commentary on social media about social media and about how addicted we all can be sometimes to it and feel like we're a slave to it and that we can't get enough of it. So this one's called Consumed, and that's the way sometimes it can feel. I know I've been that way at times where I feel like, oh no, I gotta, the FOMO kicks in where you feel like if you're not on, social media 24 hours a day, that you're going to miss something. And you just feel like you're totally addicted to it. So sometimes it's good just to unplug and walk away from it when you can and not become a slave to it. So
I think I saw you on Twitter originally. I don't know if maybe I might have followed you from a clubhouse, maybe on Calumet.
Yep, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, I think.
And yeah, I was going to ask you about your social media. Do you make a big effort to promote yourself or get your work out there, or are you just kind of letting it?
I've always been organic with it, so I don't overly promote it. I put, I'll release a piece and I'll promote it, kind of maybe the week leading up, and then, I'll up to, releasing it or dropping it. And then, I might, if someone asks in a post, something, do you have anything new? I might shill it there. And then maybe do a retweet on it, maybe a week or so later, something like that. But I don't push my work on a daily basis by any means. If anything,
have a whole strategy, that you're.
Yeah, no, I really don't. If anything, I try and promote others as much as possible. So a lot of times if you go, to my Twitter feed, you won't even find my artwork other than my pinned post because it gets buried underneath, trying to post for, promote other people's art and stuff. Because
Find other great artists.
Yeah, so that's why I always tell people, when they are, starting into it, always pin at least one tweet that is your artwork in your Twitter feed, especially because it's so hard to find your art if you reshare, if you're doing retweets and things like that for other people's art. So that way you can quickly at least have something that they can see when they first come in, and at least see something that's your art and at least go from there. Because a lot of times you'll go to someone's page and I don't know if they're an artist or not because I can't even find anything that's their own art. Yeah. And the other thing that I started using is moments on Twitter, which I didn't know existed, but it's a good way to, what I do is I'll create a pinned tweet and then I go to moments, and moments is a way to sort of archive things that you can quickly get back to. So if you've never used them before, and so you can actually save them to what's called a moment, which is basically it's like a snapshot of different things that you save to it. It doesn't have to be just your tweets. You can save other people's stuff, but I have one that's nothing but all my pinned tweets. So if someone really wants to see just the stuff I posted, I can actually share that moment to them and they can see all of my tweets that I've done, all my pinned tweets, and go directly and see my artwork. So it's actually pretty powerful, and it's not something I don't think they really promote much, but when I found out about it, I was like, this is awesome, because I know, that was one of the things when I first joined Twitter way back. I kind of treated it way before NFTs. I tried to treat it like other social media where, everything is chronological in your timeline. And with Twitter, when you start retweeting and stuff like that, it buries your stuff. So I held off on it, but then I really realized the power of retweeting for others, especially so much, once I joined the NFT community. And, my mantra is, it's not a competition, it's a community. So the more I can help the others in the community build them up, then we'll all grow together. And, there's been some people, from the very beginning that, really helped me in those first, early days when I first joined the NFT community. And, you know, I just want to always try and help, you know, push their work as much as possible. And then of course, as I meet new artists along the way, I want to bring them along as well. You know, when I see someone who's new to the space, you know, I always try and, you know, retweet their work and try and get them some eyes on their work, and, you know, and build them up. Or if same thing when people do like the NFT or the artist for first art, when they do those kind of tweets, I like to do it because I love seeing the artist behind the art. So anytime an artist, you know, does like some kind of a self-portrait or anything like that, or even just a selfie, I love that because I feel a bigger connection to the artist if I know who's behind the art. I mean, I love the art, and I want to support it, but I always love it even more when I can kind of see who's behind it. So that's why I love when it comes around. I think it was April when it came around. It comes around, but the art versus artist memes come out where, you know, you put a picture of yourself and then your art around it. And I love promoting those because I just love seeing other artists.
Yeah, I made an NFTs like last year when I first heard of it, but I was just trying to make my money in crypto until now. Like, I'm like, thank God the market crashed, because now it's like, okay, I'm going back to art. I need to finally get my mind around, you know, this whole, you know, NFT situation.
Nope, I agree.
So it's very good. What's your Twitter handle?
Godriguez Art, and pretty much all social media, you can find me there everywhere as Godriguez Art. So and I've got in my Twitter profile, I've got a link to my Linkfire account, so you can find all my social media there. And then of course from there it's got my Showtime link. So as far as finding any NFTs that I've created, you can also find them there. So, but I'm everywhere on any of the marketplaces, also as Godriguez Art, on all the ones that I'm on currently as Godriguez Art. And I try and keep it as consistent as possible. You know, I have seen some people who have their name different in certain spaces, and I try and find them and I can't, and then I'll see them post about it, you know, that they are somewhere, and then I could find them. But you know, really, to me, consistency is the key to, you know, across all the platforms. If you're going to do it, try and keep it as consistent. Even with your, you know, avatar, I know people like to switch it up, but even things like that, I try and keep, you know, just with because it is my company logo as well as it is me. So I'm not like, I'm not hiding behind anything. It's an illustration I did of myself dressed as the devil. So it is me. So I try and keep that consistent as well.
All right, that was amazing. This is an amazing interview. I might see if you have time later to like more pick your brain on the how-tos of like, how did you get on this platform? How did you get on that platform?
Oh no, absolutely. You know, the main one, you know, like I said, first started was on the ETH, and then started hearing about the Tezo and Hickanunk, and I kept hearing that name, and then finally I got onto it. And the thing I love. What?
Did you hear that? I heard Hickanunk got hacked.
Oh, yeah. And I haven't. Supposedly, you need to swap everything you have on there and have to re-swap them to put them on the version 2.0 or whatever it is. So, but I really like Hick that's where I kind of put a little more of my, I don't want to say experimental pieces, but I put stuff that I just want to have make available. That's where I kind of post more of my collaborative pieces I've done with my daughters and my wife and stuff like that. So it's kind of a little more of a smorgasbord of sorts. So, and then going forward, I have a project that I'm working on. Well, actually, two projects. One is called the Decked Project, Get Decked. That'll be coming out soon. It's myself and it's about 54 other artists, and we all have a certain playing card from the deck that we're creating an image for. So there'll be 54 individual pieces for that. So the deck project, or Get Decked, I can't remember, but that'll be coming out soon. And then I'm working on something with actually my illustration work, because I do illustration work as well. but I've been kind of quiet releasing any of my illustration work to any of the, actually I haven't released any of it to any of the NFT sites or any of the marketplaces, because I want to make it like a actual series project, and it will run as a series. It won't be random. It'll be very, very thought out series that will have a very, very structured release to it. So I'm just been kind of sitting on that because I want to do it right. And that was the thing when I first joined, that I had that, you know, kind of FOMO feel where I gotta put everything out there. I gotta throw everything out there and make it all happen immediately. And then after about the first month and a half, I kind of, that regressed a little bit, and I started relaxing and like, no, let's not get crazy. Let's do it right. And that's when, you know, I settled in and started to just release things a little more conscious effort. Didn't just throw things out there, and they were a little more structured. The releases were more structured. Any of the marketing I kind of did that associated with them was more structured, a little more uniform. So that's why going forward with this project, I want to do the same.
I'm going to ask you back to talk about all this stuff, because it was actually just really amazing to get into the meat of your actual art. Like, your art is really...
I'd be glad to come back.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do that because you know, for myself and then for all of the other artists. But yeah, me too. I made some NFTs when I first heard about it. It cost me, like, at that time it was on Rarible. It cost me like $1.50 or something to mint it. And then I got 2 raries. I got raries. And so those days, and I put something up for like 10 ETH. I don't know, a lot of money, you know. Because I didn't know what I was doing, but I did that too. I just put some experimental things up, and then now I have only one piece on OpenSea, but I want to put other ones up, but I'm like, I want to figure out how to animate them first, but I want to do it gallery quality.
Right.
So, and then I also, now this is the meat part of the interview. No, so I also, my same friend who's depressed, she's an amazing woman in Mexico City. She helped to get a law passed. She's a cybersecurity expert. She got a law passed protecting women from like revenge porn and different kind of things that happen, you know, that had no legal protection. And so she has a lot of big programs, you know, to help children and how to get parents and everyone involved with keeping girls safe online. So that's CyberCats. So I have like 30 CyberCats, but I haven't even begun to figure out how I'm gonna start releasing that in I put some on Mintable because it was free.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, I want to get on and, you know, pick your brain about that, like, as soon as you're available.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Right. Thanks you so much. All the links are going to be, you know, in the links, and anyone can find Godriguez from Tampa, Florida, find his work, buy his work, and it's really amazing. Like, I'm so glad to meet you and see your artwork. Thank you, NFT, thank you, crypto, because now, you know, we get get to see things that we could not have seen before.
I appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. You too.